Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Just Fit, where I am playing Final Fantasy XIV. Last episode we did even more Hildebrand, and normally, I think, today is going to be the final Hildebrand quest that we're going to be doing. I also had an issue last episode and the episode before that where my DisplayPort cable is apparently not certified to deal with... like, the cable is basically not reinforced enough to deal with, like, opposing frequencies, I guess. I never even knew that DisplayPort cables were this sensitive, because this is the first time I've had to use DisplayPort cables in my life. So I bought a better one. And hope that with that, it's gonna get fixed. Something that's actually certified. I was wondering why you'd show up, Lynn. I hope you haven't made any plans for the day, because you've got a situation on our hands. Remember our good friend, the Phantom Thief? Well, it seems he decided to branch out from burglary to cold-blooded murder. If the rumors are to be believed, he's claimed 3 victims already, all influential members of Uldan society. Mr. Manyface has been kind enough to leave one of his signature calling cards at every scene, leaving no doubt as to the identity of the murderer. The message is always the same: the weight of 5 corpses will bring the scales of justice to balance. More riddles. Not that you'll hear me complaining. No, the only thing my readers like more than a good story is a good murder mystery. Ever since the story broke, the mythal eye's been sitting like pond cakes. The only rub that it's left me no time to look into the thief's last message until now. That is, shall we, Lynn? The hidden treasures of Ulda, was it? If there's anyone who can shed some light on this, it's you know who, the two sunsilk tapestries. Good old Wymond. Well, Nephi, my favorite adventurer and my favorite mythal reporter along with her. Tell me, what have I done to deserve the pleasure of your company today? I see. As much as I'd like to help two lovely ladies, I'm afraid you found old Wymond at a loss. Ulda has more than its fair share of treasures, hidden and otherwise. I reckon our phantom friend could be after just about any of them. I can tell you this much, though. Whatever the thief's got his eyes on, it's got the Sultan sworn in a right dither. Word has it they formed a regiment on their best and brightest to safeguard the royal vaults from this very threat. Sultan sworn aren't like to be forthcoming with information, but it's the only need we've got. Come on, Lynn. I'd say we pay them a visit. I'd say we'd pay a visit to the heart of the sworn. Oi, hold up there, Ellie. I ain't generally the worrying type, but you may want to think twice before getting yourself into this. A man in my business develops a nose for danger, and this time the stench is something fierce. You're a reporter, Ellie, and a fine one at that. Don't put that pretty neck of yours at risk trying to play the hero. Your concern is touching, but I can assure you that I am ready for whatever dangers lie ahead. Besides, being a reporter is about more than selling papers. I have a duty to seek out the truth and convey it to the people. Come, Lynn. Time is of the essence. I guess I'll go and just run back to the Aetheryte. Halt. Only authorized personnel are allowed in. Thal buggered me with a broadsword. It's a gentleman of light's adventure companion and a catty but cute reporter from the Middle Eye. Well, if it isn't the self-styled warrior of light. Tell me, what tall tales did you spin to the Sultan's sworn recruiter to land yourself in this position? Only the 12's honest truth, miss. Seeing that gentleman of light standing tall and triumphant that day, it moved me to the depths of my soul. Like, I vowed to put aside my sketchy past and serve the realm just like my hero Master Hildebrand. The Sultan's sworn were impressed with my commitment and my sword arm, and they gladly welcomed me into their ranks. Wait, don't tell me. You've come to assist Master Hildebrand in his investigation, have you not? Or haven't you? Whatever. Cor, why didn't you say so sooner? It's the least I could do to help the 2 ladies who united me with my role model. You'll be wanting to speak with Felice. She's one of the sworn's best, and something of a history buff, it seemed. When she heard the thief was targeting the 4 relics of Balladia, she personally stepped forward and volunteered to lead the investigation. If anyone has the information you're looking for, it'll be her. Wait here while I get her. I can trust you not to touch anything, aye? A pleasure to meet you, Phyllis. My name is Ellie from the Mythical Eye. As you may have heard, we're researching the Phantom Thief case and would appreciate any information you may shed on the recent events. The pleasure is mine, Miss Ellie. And if I'm not mistaken, I would make your companion friend here one Lynn Ladair, yes? You know Lynn? As any regular leader of the Mythical Eye would, I must confess to being somewhat of an unbiased fan of your work. Though it hardly befits my station to say this, I was secretly hoping that you would show up to assist in the investigation. Doubtless the Inspector, too, will also welcome a helping hand. The Sultan Sworn, the elite of Ulda's elite. I can only hope they prove more competent than the bungling mercenaries I've dealt with thus far. Inspector Briarden, always one step ahead of us. Miss Ellie, Lynn, a moment if you would. Right there, very good. Now face me and don't move an elm. Inspector, what is that in your cough wheeze? Demasking dust, a formula of my own devising that would allow us to see right through the thief's disguises. Analyzing the mask left behind at Vesper Bay, I was able to identify its composition and synthesize a counter-agent that would dissolve the disguise whilst leaving the wearer's face intact. In any event, it would appear the two of you are indeed who you appear to be. Brilliant, Inspector! The Phantom Thieves pulled the wool over your eyes, over our eyes for the last time. I fear it won't be so simple. The ingredients necessary to procure the dust are extremely rare. Even with the entire resources of the Sultan Sworn at our disposal, we were only to procure a limited supply. I see. Well, I suppose it's better than nothing. That said, have you been able to identify the thief's next target? A hidden treasure of Ulda, the last of the 4 relics of Balladia. I fear not. I've pored through the histories time and again, but the only mention of these 4 relics is a vague reference in an old prophecy. Most serious scholars consider it little more than a fairy tale. When darkness falls and hope fades to despair, 4 warriors born of light shall descend in the righteous glare. The legend goes on to describe 4 sacred relics, one each possessed by these 4 Balladian heroes, but makes no my brain's melting. But makes no mention as to their appearance or nature. 3 times we have tried to identify the thief's target, and 3 times has he foiled us by making off with something else entirely. Neither speculation will only play to the fiend's strengths. All artifacts of Balladia's origin have been sealed within the royal vault, and a regiment of our finest assigned to its protection. I have furnished all the guards with a supply of demasking dust, and instructed them to be on the lookout for any suspicious personages. The Blackguard will be in chains before he can lay a dirty hand on the vault door, let alone the treasure within. You have our word, my lady. But there are even more disturbing matters at hand. Doubtless you have heard of the recent rash of murders perpetrated by our quarry. The Sultan Sworn have launched an investigation, but the truth of the matter is that we have been far too occupied with the defense of the vault to make any meaningful progress. We would be most grateful for any assistance you could offer. A lady asks and a gentleman answers. Cast all worry from your heart, my lady. Hildebrand, agent of inquiry, inspector extraordinaire, has arrived to set right what is wrong and bring the wicked to justice. And this must be the demasking dust that is the talk of the palace. Ah, but you need not waste your supply on me, Inspector. I assure you that I am exactly who I claim to be. A shame that. Inspector Hildebrand, we were not expecting you, but your services are most welcome. I will share all I know about the recent murders. Yeah, I've been wondering something for a second. Because this cable... I'm so bothered about this cable just like suddenly not working with me. Because I do have it very like taut around here. Who needs to play a game and do voice acting when you can just, check your cables? Anyway, Nikita has claimed three victims thus far. The head of a publishing consortium, a high-ranking government official, and an influential scholar. Other than that, they were all influential figures in their respective circles. We can identify no common threads connecting the three. Oh, this will prove a most satisfying case of crack indeed. And what of the method of killing? Conked over the head with a cudgel? Gutted with a great sword? Strangled with a subligar, perhaps? I'm afraid we've identified no pattern. In any event, the murderer plots the deaths of 2 more even as you speak. We must take action and quickly. Understood, my lady. Clues may be scarce, but worry not. My realm-renowned powers of deduction are more than up to the task. I will see this burglar turned butcher delivered to justice. Your presence is heartening indeed, Inspector Hildebrand. Friends, please take this demasking dust with you. I fear we can spare but a single sachet, but I trust you will put it to good use. Alright. Now before we continue, I'm first going to go and do something. Alright, I'm back. Come to accompany me on yet another case, friend? I like your gusto, but if you're auditioning to be my assistant, I fear that role has already been filled most ably. Ably? That's a... Or ably. Ably? I guess. Still, a gentleman welcomes the support of all his admirers. I shall henceforth name you thusly, Lynn, my ever-loyal associate. And now, my ever-loyal associate, the investigation calls. I propose that we begin by inspecting the site at which the most recent victim met his demise. My questioning about the palace has revealed that the scholar's body was found not far from the 80 sins of Sasimo. Even the most circumspect of criminals cannot help but leave behind clues. Clues that will not elude my gaze. Friends, let us be off. Pray alert me should anyone suspicious, should you see anyone suspicious, my ever-loyal associate. We must put Miss Phyllis's demasking dust to good use. I'm so sorry if I'm gonna have like moments where I'm just like, I need to break off from talking purely because my screen went black. Because then I have to look at like a smaller screen. That's basically what's happening. And there's nothing I can do about it until I have this new DisplayPort cable. Yay. Don't you love it? I sure as hell do. Oh, I forgot to block the chat. Oh well. Flowers. Yes, it is all becoming clear now. Our phantom killer is a florist, who, in his hurry to escape, carelessly mislaid his wares. Just what do you think you're doing, eh? I'm the one who put those flowers there, eh? To honor the memory of my poor boy. You dare defile his memory, eh? 1,000 pardons, my lady. Please accept my most sincere condolences on your loss. I am Hildebrand, agent of inquiry, inspector extraordinaire. I swear to you, on my dear mother's name, that your son's killer will be brought to justice. As I was just saying, these flowers were clearly placed here by the family of the deceased, which can only mean... Leave this place! Run away while you still can! Run far away! Run, or he'll turn you into a zombie just like my poor boy! A living person turned into a zombie. Nonsense. Not nonsense, my boy. History. Or have you not heard of the horrors of Sildee? Ulda's sibling nation, against which we waged war centuries ago. Much blood was shed by both sides, but I speak of far greater horrors than death. An unholy draught brewed by the Sildeen alchemist, one with the power to turn the living to the undead, that his nation might command an army of mindless, deathless soldiers, the traitors spurn. They turned my poor boy into a heap of rotting flesh and ran him through. But you won't hear that from the Sultan's sworn. Thal alone knows why, but they whisked the body away before I could so much as pay my last respect. The traitors spurn. I'd heard the stories, but I never thought them true. To be able to procure such a frightening thing, just what are we dealing with here? A Sildeen, I'm sure of it. Only a Sildeen would know the recipe. But the last remnants of Sildee died 4 centuries ago, you say? Yahahaha. Laugh. Oh, they did. He calls himself the Phantom Thief, he does. But did it ever occur to you that he might be an honest-to-God's phantom, eh? Heard the tales from my own great-great-grandma, I did, about the 4 relics of Balladia and the power they hold, the power to exact justice. The spectre of Sildi has returned to wreak havoc on us. Woe, woe unto us all! Have the 4 warriors of light forsaken us? My dear boy, if only you'd become a traitor like your father, if only you'd kept your nose out of those history books, and never so much breathed the cursed name of Sildi. But you did, and now we're doomed, doomed! I can hear the bongos. Yeah. That bleeding horse on there somewhere. I can feel it in my follicles. The most potent hair tonic the realm has ever seen, aye, that it was. For all of a fortnight before my flowing locks fell out all over again. And just as I was chatting up a lovely young lass at a quicksand, just a twisted knife and an extra ilm, whatever. Mountbank Shortland. I will find that so-called inspector and his sordid band and pull every last strand of hair from their bleeding skulls. Okay. It's all becoming clear to me now. That dear old woman's testimony has confirmed that which I had suspected from the start. Like a zombie picking away at its rotting flesh, Hildebrand, agent of inquiry, inspector extraordinaire, has peeled away the foul scab of uncertainty to reveal the truth within. Open your ears and feast your minds on the fruits of my flawless deduction. Our phantom thief is a phantom indeed, a wayward spirit caught between the realm of the living and dead for nigh on centuries, since meeting a tragic end on the battlefield. As such, our course of action is clear. We must placate this tortured soul, that it might abandon its vengeful vendetta and travel to the next life in peace. But what is the true nature of the spectre's grievances? Without this knowledge, we cannot hope to assuage its rancor. Let us begin our search at the Thaumaturge's Guild. Doubtless the tomes there contain a wealth of knowledge on the ill blood between the sibling nations. Jeez. Notwithstanding the abject stupidity of everything else that came out of your mouth, some knowledge of Sildi might serve as well. Go research what you will. And do take as much time as you need. You can count on me, Inspector Briarden. Whatever knowledge is to be gleaned at the guild, it shall not escape my inspector's eye. Okay. I guess I might as well go over here. Now, I also want to take a look at something, actually. I want to take a look at something. So, I'm still at 1080... Like 1920, 1080. Okay. That's all I needed to know. If like when I go into borderless windowed, if it does that. But nah, my freaking signal is just being fucked by, I think, my microphone. So weird. Really weird. I don't understand it. But it's a thing. Because when I don't use my microphone, this doesn't happen. It's only when I use my microphone. Godspeed, good. You're the adventurer who saved me back at the ruins. Researching the ancient feud between Ul'dah and Sildi, are you? Why, I'm pleased to say I have more than a passing familiarity with ancient history. To understand the history of the sibling nations, one must go back further still, to the birth of their mother nation, Belladia. The 5th Astral Era was an age of untold wonders, when the arcane arts burgeoned and the great civilizations that commanded such powers flourished. This age of enlightenment would not last, however. Power bred avarice, and avarice bred resentment. It culminated in the War of the Magi, which brought the great floods of the 6th Umbral Calamity, which in turn swallowed the once proud nations and left a battered wasteland in its wake. Mages were reviled and persecuted for having caused this catastrophe, with many forced to leave to leave their homelands or face death. It was a small band of those survivors that found their way to Thanalan, where they would found the nation of Belladia some 8 centuries agone. Ah, imagine a government of mages, by mages and for mages. What wonders might have been wrought that had Belladian civilization survived to this very day. Alas, this was not to be. You don't say. It's not every day someone comes into our halls to research Sildi. As a fellow student of history, though, I'm more than welcome to conversation. Belladian civilization flourished in relative peace until twin sons were born to the royal family. The two were fierce rivals, and when they came of age and their father passed, each one had claimed that he was the rightful heir to the throne. With neither son willing to relinquish his claim, they agreed to split their kingdom in two, forming the twin nations of Ul'dah and Sildi. But, not unlike the two proud princes, the sibling nations developed a penchant for rivalry. Right. Now, I have an idea. Is it this thing over here? Give me a second. I think I may have an idea as to why... Like, as to when this started happening, because this has not been happening at all before. And I think I may know which cable might have been the culprit for that. There we go. Which means that I bought a display cable for nothing. But that's wrong, because it's still freaking out. So, rip. Greetings, traveler. You would learn of the war between Ulda and the fallen Sultanate of Sildi. It would be my pleasure to enlighten you. The two city-states coexisted for several generations until the bad blood between them boiled over, culminating in outright war. As you might deduce from the present state of affairs, Ulda emerged victorious, leaving its once proud sibling nation in smoldering ruins. As the history stated, the battles fought between the sister nations were the stuff of nightmares. In a desperate attempt to overcome Ulda's superior numbers, Sildian alchemists devised a most horrific stratagem. Employing a frightful formula known as a traitor's spurn, they brought their fallen warriors back as undead soldiers. Some theories have it that they even employed the potion on those of the living who were too weak or wounded to fight. Sends shivers up the spine just thinking about it now. It is truly a crowning glory of our fair nation that our forebears were able to emerge victorious against these horrors. Lynn, don't surprise me like that. What's this? You're here not for your studies, but to learn of the bad blood between Ulda and Sildi. Two scales, one of gold and one of silver. The gold of Ulda weighing prosperity and power, the silver of Sildi weighing knowledge and power. But the power sought by the two nations differed greatly. Yes, greatly indeed. The power wrought by Uldan prosperity was that of justice and good, while the power wrought by Sildian knowledge was horrific beyond belief. The power to rip the living soul out of a man and render him a mindless killing machine. On this matter, the histories are clear. But riddle me this, my friend. Who writes the histories, and what does this say of the words writ within? Yes, truth can be elusive and fickle as the shifting sands. As one example, did you know that in the war against Sildi, Uldan and Amalja warriors fought side by side? Likely you did not, and neither did I, until I encountered a failing passage in an ancient text buried deep in our archives. And yet, in the histories read by the populace, you will see no mention of this most fascinating fact. Might it be that someone at some time deemed this particular truth to be less than convenient? But I have said enough already. My ever-loyal associate, tell me, what have you learned from your questioning of the scholars in these halls? Indeed, as it happens, I have learned much the same. Let us take a moment to review and allow my peerless powers of deduction to work their magic. A war of succession divides the great civilization of Balladia, giving rise to the sibling nations of Ulda and Sildi. The two nations coexist for some generations until ill blood boils over, culminating in all outright war. Daunted by Uldan's superior military might, Sildi employs their advanced alchemical knowledge to horrific ends, transforming their own citizens, alive and dead, into a fearsome undead legion. Yes, I believe I have it. The facts at hand have led me to one unassailable conclusion. Our phantom thief is a descendant of doomed Sildi, who seeks vengeance against those who reduced his countrymen to slavering zombies. To pacify his soul and send him peacefully to the next world, there is but one course of action. We must find the Sildi statesman who conceived this dreadful stratagem, and have him apologize to the thief in person for the suffering he has wrought. A brilliant plan. Perhaps you'd like to go find yourself a shovel and dig this statesman out of the grave yourself? Leaving aside this nonsense of spirits inspectors, it appears increasingly likely that our quarry shares some link with Sildi. His garish garb is no doubt meant to evoke the silver scales of the fallen sultanate. This Sildian connection could also serve to explain the rare knowledge of Balladian relics our thief clearly possesses. But what of the murder victims? What common thread amongst them could have incurred the ire of our adversary? Here people in town spoke of a man sighted calling upon the victims in the past days. Those who saw him said he had a most frightening air about him. Wait, yes, it's coming to me, of course. My keen investigator's senses ring out with a voice loud and clear. This man Miss Ellie speaks of just might know something. You really should stop thinking so hard. You're like to strain a brain muscle. Miss Ellie, who is this man and where might we find him? My sources identified the man as Guguria, a traveling merchant known to frequent Horizon. Shall we pay him a visit? Yes, if you got business, make it quick. My time is too valuable to waste chatting with every stranger who passes by. Forgive us, good sir. My name is Ellie, a reporter of the Mythal Eye. Never blinking, all-seeing. You know the rest. I was wondering if we could trouble you with a few questions. Was it for love or money that you killed them? Yes, you, the thief of many faces. Me, a thief? What is this nonsense? I don't know who you are, but I ain't got the time or the patience for this mummery. Now, if you'll excuse me, an important client awaits. I thought I recognized that voice. Oh. Lady Gerilda, well met indeed. Pray tell, whatever brings you to these environs this fair evening? But why, I live here, you ham-headed halfwit. Inspector Briarden, this is an unexpected pleasure. Do you have some business with my associate here, pray tell? Guguria, we can discuss business after. Pray let the inspector here, the handsome one, whatever assistance he requires. But Lady Gerilda, what about... Ah, yes, my dear Marius name day present. I didn't mind one of the prize pieces from Eshtame's latest seasonal collection. You would be able to procure one from me, yes? Or shall I eliminate the middleman and make the trip to Ul'dah myself? I'll say just once more, Guguria. I expect you to give the inspector and his companions your full assistance. They, yes, even a stupid one, helped me regain something truly priceless. Yes, something more valuable than any mere trinket. Alright, I'll tell you what I know. But you didn't hear it from me, got it? I was looking into the killing on behalf of a client of mine. The thief's got himself some of that zombie dust. The traitor's spurn, was it? And his cards speak of 5 victims. Got me to thinking. So the 5 victims, aye, the Arbiters of Truth. The Arbiters of Truth. The Arbiters of Truth. I'm not familiar with the name. I fear it would be on account of them being something of a secret society and all. Influential personages of the Sultanate, you see, working from the shadows to keep false knowledge about the Ul'dah-Sildi conflict from reaching the ears of folk like you and me. False knowledge? Pray tell, just what sort of knowledge might that be? Thalsballs, don't make me say no more. I've got a family to feed. Very well. Just one last thing. Who hired you, and where can we find him? Hob, his name's Hob. When he heard what I said, he told me that he was going to set sail for Limsa with his 5 best sellswords to guard his back. Said there were many prying eyes at the airship dock. Said he had a private ship docked and waiting for him at Vesper Bay. But remember, you didn't hear none of this from me. This man Hob must be one of the killer's targets. Doubtless he also knows the identity of the remaining one. I doubt that. They say the Arbiters are so secretive they don't even know each other's true identities. Now don't ask me how that all works, but... Hob's got a high-ranking friend in the brass plates. Once he heard the victims had all been... zombified, he panicked. Guess he knew he'd be next. Thank you very much, my kind sir. Once again, the ancient maneuval art of parley has procured for us a key morsel of knowledge. Let us seek out this Hob fellow and see if what he can share with us. And let us hurry. The man's life is in danger even as we speak. Search for Hob. Search for Hob while having no screen. You might be wondering, like, are you sure it's, like, not your screen? Like your PC or whatever? I'm not sure about my screen. But my PC, that could not make any sense. Because my HDMI port is still sending a signal. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to record. Whatever, man, just... Why? Master Hobb, is everything quite alright? No, stand back, Ellie. Hunger. I hunger for your brains. Damn, there's no saving the man. Lynn, do what you must. Oh, I was expecting a fight. Yes, my first knowledge of zombies tells me that this particular shade of green is unmistakably that of the undead. It would seem we were a few moments late to the scene. A message, and then there was one. There it is again. Something the matter, Inspector? Indeed, Nasher, there is. Ever since I picked up the trail of the Phantom Thief, I've had this fleeting sense. A sense that someone or something is watching us. The thief might be close at hand. We should be careful. For the moment, let us return and report our findings to Miss Felice. Secret society or no, knowing the identities of its members may yet lead us to the final victim. I too had best return to the Mythal Eye. Let's meet up again after. I'll see what new clues I can uncover in the meantime. You will do nothing of the sort, Miss Ellie. These streets are far too dangerous for you to walk alone. Inspector, I'll go with her. If you insist, Nasher, then I give my leave. But pray be wary, not just of the thief, but of Miss Ellie. She has quite a temper, as we both know. Miss Ellie, there is something I must tell you when this case is over. Be safe and promise that you will not attempt anything rash, as you did that time when the fiends took aim at my own life. Your life, at Costa del Sol. Yes, that was quite the ordeal, wasn't it? I'll be careful, I promise. I eagerly await the day when I may hear what it is you would share with me. A secret vow! Oh, consider my interest piqued as well, good Inspector. Now let us be off. Miss Felice awaits our report. Simultaneous turn around and walk away. Even more hiccups. A fourth victim. Thought of mercy. Were you able to glean out of a connection to the other victims? The Arbiters of Truth. No, it cannot be. Somebody help! Oh, that is Ellie, yeah. Miss Ellie, the voice came from the direction of the vault. We must hurry. And off they go. Miss Ellie, are you hurt? That man. I only thought to ask him a few questions. Before I knew what was happening, it was upon me. I could only... Bash his brains with a conveniently placed bottle of mead, it would seem. Aha, remind me not to get on your bad side, Miss Ellie. That said, is Nasher not with you? She saw a figure lurking in the shadows and went off in pursuit before I could stop her. This man wears the armor of a sultan's sworn squire, yet his face is unfamiliar to me. Something is amiss. The thief of many faces. To think we would find our man like this. Thrice and again did the fiend elude our grasp, but no more. By virtue of a gentleman's ingenious deductions and a lady's pugilistic puissance, I declare this case closed. I returned this statue to you, Miss Felice. Whilst the gesture was appreciated, in the end it proved superfluous to my cracking the case. While you're at it, is there anything else of immense value that you'd like to wantonly destroy? What is the meaning of this? Ingenious. A double disguise, planted by the thief to throw us off his trail, no doubt. This is... Guige, I guess. Or Guige? Guigu? I don't know. One of my most capable men. I assigned him to guard the vault, and I'd fitted him with an ample supply of demasking dust. It is inconceivable that the thief could so easily elude our grasp, or his grasp. Unless the thief was not wearing a mask. Speaking of which, has anyone seen Miss Ellie? No. That's impossible. Of course, it all makes perfect sense. With the Phantom Thief to thank for her burgeoning readership and rise to the ranks of the Mythal Eye, Miss Ellie could not bear to face the possibility of her story of a lifetime coming to an end. Thus, she hatched a plan to... My lady, the vault has been breached. The wise man's whisper, it's gone. For her foul crimes against the Sultan, I hereby declare Ellie of the Mythal Eye, the thief of many faces, an enemy of the state. Deploy all troops and do not rest until she is in custody. And now the game is truly afoot. Bah! What is the meaning of all this racket and rumpus? And just as we were about to make our triumphant return. Isn't that so, Enkidu? No? Okay. Miss Ellie, Miss Ellie! That shadow you said you saw, I think it was just a dormouse. To think he'd literally stumble face first into the second mask. His good fortune truly knows no end. But not to worry, yes, I declare the Phantom Thief has another trick or two up his sleeve. Sibling strife. Ba ba ba. My ever-loyal associate, we must find Miss Ellie quickly. Surely, if confronted by her constant companions, she can still be convinced to abandon this fool plan. Oh, Miss Felice, I thought you had already departed in the company of your men. But all for the better. Shall we conduct the search together? I fear it would only put them at greater risk. You see, the fifth and final member of the Arbiters of Truth, the Phantom Thief's final target, is none other than... Hildebrand Mander... Me, mind you. It is not a role I sought of my own accord. My name and my passion for history are somewhat well known in the Sultanate. One day I received an anonymous letter stating that a position in the committee committee had opened, and I had been chosen to fill it. The letter went on to enumerate my duties to prevent the spread of historical lies that would sully the name of our illustrious nation. As a high-ranking officer in the Sultan's Horn, I was deemed to be in a particularly unique position to serve as an arbiter. I knew that there were other members of the organization, but was told nothing of their names or identities. To think that my unknown compatriots were the victims all along. I cannot put any more lives in danger. I will sequester myself in a place where my presence can cause no harm, until such time as the killer is apprehended. Your concern for our well-being is most touching, Miss Felice, but there is no need for such caution. As a seasoned inspector, I am more than capable of protecting a lady in distress. And as a gentleman, that is exactly what I shall do. My associates here also stand at your side. Speaking of which, has anyone seen my loyal assistant? Inspector, over here! Ah, there you are, Nashu. You really shouldn't run off on your own like that. I was worried sick about you. I'm sorry, Inspector. Miss Ellie said she saw somebody in the shadows, so I went to take a look. Now, there wasn't anything there but a dormouse. But it was a really cute dormouse, you see. It just kept squeaking and scurrying away, and I just... Pardon me for a moment, Nashu. Yes, my inspector senses speak to me. Someone is watching us, Lynn. Let us split up and canvass our surroundings. A water-stained letter lies conspicuously on the floor. Be wary and be warned. Trust no one and your friends all the less. This will avail you as well. Use it wisely. You obtain a sachet of demasking dust. In the next instance, you feel an intimidating presence behind you. Like, in that instant, you feel an intimidating presence behind you. Oh, if it isn't my beloved son's staunch companion, the mighty Lin. It was in the area I was in the area on a matter of business, which I curtailed when I felt a suspicious presence from the shadows. Pursuing it led me here. Mayhap it is the same for you? Oh, so your pursuit of the thief of many faces has taken quite the unexpected turn. And now you've come upon a series of anonymous letters. Mayhap our watcher in the shadows is a friend, or is this but another trap laid by the fiend? Yes, the plot thickens like a dollop of salamander oil. In either event, I dare say the circumstances call for utmost caution. The thief could be anywhere, or anyone. Myself included, of course. No mere mask could replicate the physique of this man of a man. That said, I fear my dear Hildy may be in a bit over his head this time. Allow me to assist in your investigation. Were anything to happen to Hildebrand, his dear mother would not be pleased. If the sender speaks true, the villain even now lurks within our midst. And yet we have but a single sachet of demasking dust at our disposal. We must identify the impostor beyond reasonable doubt before we proceed. You know the players better than I, Lin. What say you have a few words with each of them and see if aught seems amiss? Miss Ellie is a phantom thief. It is the only logical conclusion, and yet I cannot help but feel that another truth still awaits us. Am I doomed to share the same fate as the others? I'd sooner die than become one of those things. Inspector Bryden told me all about it. Would have thanked Miss Ellie was a phantom thief all this time. She sure fooled me. Nothing particularly odd about any of them, you say. It stands to reason the fiend would not take such a risk, if he were not utterly confident that he could pull off the ruse. Curses, this one's not half the fool his son is. I must elude him, and quickly. Time is of the essence. I questioned the Sultan sworn outside. To a man, they insist they have seen naught of Miss Ellie. Wherever could she have gone? Father, what brings you here? Yes, finally the pieces are coming together now. If you would kindly stand still and shut up, the fiend already stands among us. Inspector Bryden, I should hope you are not doubting me. While I'm quite convinced that even a master impersonator would struggle to recreate your particular brand of idiocy, the fact remains that anyone here who has spent even a moment alone must be considered a suspect. The thief has proven to be highly efficient at assuming new identities. An astute observation, my gangly friend. I'd say this occasion calls for a dose or two of the powder Lin here found earlier. There wouldn't happen to be another sachet or two lying about, would there? What remains of our supply has already been distributed to the search parties, but worry not, they should be reporting back within the bell's time. Time might be against me, but just you watch. I'll wriggle my way out of this and turn you into the reeking, drooling corpse you deserve to be. I fear that is more time than we can afford. Miss Phyllis, fortunately, my powers of seduction will lay the fiend's face bare within minutes. We know that, given the choice, the thief prefers to impersonate familiar personages. As Miss Ellie has had only passing interactions with my dear father, we can safely eliminate him from consideration. That is myself, Nashu, and Lin here. Nashu and I, in particular, have had a close extended relationship with our suspect. I shall begin by questioning mine own assistant. I assure you that none know her better than I. Pretty confusing as ever, Inspector. Go on, ask me anything. 4 times for this overstuffed buffoon to start talking sense. If he asked me anything too obscure, my cover is as good as blown. My relationship with Nashu is so close, I dare say at times It is as if we share a mind. If this Nasher is truly my my ever-loying assistant, Jesus. My ever-loyal assistant. She should have no trouble completing my thoughts. I'm Amanda Manderville. Man. Doing what only a Manderville can. From the peaks of Curses to Thanalan, Manderville. Man, you're the best, Inspector. A perfect score. You may rest easy, dear friends. This is unmistakably unequivocable. What the hell is that word? Unequivocally, indubitably the true Nashu. I've never loved you more than now, you marvelous muttonhead, you. Nashu, something the matter. Just because you've picked up a few more wrinkles beneath the eyes, there's no need to avert that charming face of yours. Wrinkles, wrinkles, look who's talking, you crusty cretinous old... genius, Inspector? Money. The charade is up, Miss Ellie. Miss Ellie, you look somehow different? To get glamour dispellers. That's a funny joke. 7 hells, done in by a muscle-bound muttonhead and his motley trip of mummers. Just who are you? Your resemblance to Miss Ellie's most uncanny, and yet... Consulting Inspector Briarden. Once again, you failed to measure up to your lofty reputation. Of course we resemble each other. Ellie is, after all, my own flesh and blood. My beloved sister, and my eminently capable partner in crime. 1,000 faces I may wear, but only one name do I bear. You can call me by Sissy. Charmed, I'm sure. Are you quite alright? Why, you look as if you've seen a ghost. Despite my moniker, I assure you that Ellie and I are no spectres. What we are, mind you, are the last living scions of Sildee's aristocracy. Bemused, are you? Befuddled to find 2 sisters behind the mask? Try using your brains once in a while. Every time you encountered a thief, Ellie was standing right in your midst. No, the thief that 4 times stole the show, oh, and those priceless relics, was me. Meanwhile, Ellie hid in plain sight, supplying me with just the knowledge I needed to stay one step ahead of my pursuers. All while spinning the hair-raising tales of my exploits that won the hearts of this nation. We owe a lot to you, truly. Why, without the tales of your hapless attempts to catch me, we never could have risen to these heights of celebrity. Celebrity, there we go. Miss Sissy, from a gentleman to a lady, I would ask you one thing and one thing only. Just what is it that you and Miss Ellie hope to accomplish with all of your schemes? Justice. 400 years ago, old Don dogs reduced our great nation to a nation of zombies. At long last, the cowards that would still justify these foul deeds will suffer the same fate. Wait, the histories say that it was Sildee that turned her own men into zombies. The histories lie, and you work from the shadows, silencing those who would speak the truth. You should have died with your fellows, false arbiter. It was old Don that ordered the creation of that dreadful powder, and wielded it as a weapon against our proud ancestors. The history of your glorious sultanate is built on a lie. What is this madness you speak, woman? Not madness, truth. The powder in my possession was stolen from the Uldan army 4 centuries ago by one of my ancestors. They say it was his final act of courage in the moments before his legs fell off and his rotting head dropped from his shoulders. This is the truth that the histories don't tell. The truth that this doe-eyed Sultan sworn would kill to keep buried deep in the sands of Thanalan. But your time of reckoning is nigh. Oh yes, before long you and everyone in this rotting nation will know firsthand the horrors my ancestors knew. Ah ha 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 ha. And just what do you mean by that? Oh, how the idiots lapse up the stories. A masked crusader for justice, a dashing rebel waging war against power and authority. Oh, if only they knew. But they will see soon enough, when they are eating each other's brains out on the streets. In the last days before our proud nation was razed to the ground, a band of the final survivors stole a vast quantity of the powder from Uldan vaults, hiding it away in a secret vault, sealed with powerful magics. The sole means by which the vault may be opened by assembling 4 sacred relics from Palladia. 4 relics once housed in the royal palace of Sildi, before the Uldan dogs stole them and claimed them for their own. And so it dawns upon you at last. Yes, even as you speak, Ellie makes for the vault, the 4 relics safely in hand. Just think. One day you'll be able to tell your grandchildren you were there when zombie powder rained down on Ulda. No, wait, you'll all be dead. Ah ha ha ha. Preposterous. Okay, no, there's still another cutscene. Jeez. But first you, my dear. You will not have the pleasure of looking upon the last moments of your precious homeland. Let your flesh rot like all of your rotten lies. I think not, Miss Ceci. Hildebrand. You idiot, just for once, could you not get in my way? Godbert Manorville, I can't even trust your sorry arse to look after him for a day. I knew it! That presence watching over us from the shadows. It was you, my dear wife! Am I to understand that you're Hildebrand's mother? Aye, this is more like it. Hand to hand, skillet to skillet. It's enough to send a warrior's pulse racing. Prepare yourself, Lynn. The time of our final confrontation is nigh. Do you have potatoes for brains, you overstuffed buffoon? My beloved boy's been turned into a stinking corpse if you hadn't bloody noticed. You, Lynn or something, was it? Hildy's told me all about your hijinks together. Pleased to meet you. My dear boy's always had a bit of a rebellious streak. What can I say? I can come on a bit too strong at times. But can you blame me? This time I thought I'd sit back and leave things to my sorry-arse husband over here. And look what that got me. You'll help me out, won't you? I love that! I love that so much. It's one of my favorite things, like, in the game. Just that moment of, like, your character like, yep. Reunite with my dear boy for the first time in ages, and just look at him. He's green. Fortunately, there is still time to reverse the zombie curse, and I know just a remedy: a phial of holy water. The ingredients are simple: a tatter of oversoul rags and a phial of twice distilled water. Sint Goth. At the market stocks the former, and the latter you can procure from a trader by the name of Guest. Now hurry. Once the poison spreads throughout his veins, no antidote will save him. In the meantime, I will search for the bumbler's bumbling assistant. With any luck, Miss Nashu is still alive. Ah, that's smart. You gads, Hildy. You're looking none too hard yourself. No thanks to you, you bumbling oaf. How are you going to accompany Lynn? Are you going to accompany Lynn here and make yourself useful? Or do I have to introduce you to that wall? But of course, milady. Gilgamesh is ever at your service. Send God's sundries, was it? Come now, Lynn. There's much work to be done. Okay, my friends. However, I have noticed that the episode's kind of long, and I remember there still being a sizable amount of stuff happening in this. So I think I'm gonna go and leave it over here. Sorry, my screen was gone again. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of this. I was playing Final Fantasy XIV, and next episode we're gonna go and deal with finishing off the Hildebrand questline, and probably doing some post-Moogle quests also. Goodbye.